of your brain like a star in space. You call it art, but you pulled on my heart and you twisted it into a new shape. Yeah, I'm
Hello everybody, I'm gonna get them on the call very soon. Let me just pull this up. No, wrong one. There we go. I have to get them on the call to see my face. Here we go. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing fairly well. Hi Mikey, how's it going? Hi Nerd, Mansion. Hi Mana, thank you for the hydrate. I've got it set up so OBS will only see my face once I've joined the call, so that's why you can't see my face right now. I'm gonna move some videos over that are taking up a lot of space as well, because there's some videos that are taking up quite a bit of space, and I don't want to run out of space halfway. But yeah, let's join their call. I've got a call with them coming up. Let's join their call. How do I join their call? I'm going to message malware. I thought I could just join their call. Give myself one of the external hard drives. I have, but I've got it formatted for my old Mac. So unfortunately, I don't have it formatted for my Windows yet, but I probably should. Yeah. Join the public call and we'll move you in. Okay. Let's move into their public call and they'll drag us in. I'm being ushered into the presence. Wait, how do I do that? Public. There we go. I now have permission to speak. Testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, hey, what's up?
Hi, excellent. Yeah, how's it going? I'm just gonna set up my outline, but yeah, how's it going?
I mean, it's going good.
It's incredibly rainy here in the land of swamps, but what do you expect?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna turn you up because you're quite low on my Discord. Excellent. How about now? Could one of you speak real quick?
Please go ahead.
Oh,
Dang
now
it.
I'm being put on the spot.
I turned up the wrong one. There we go. I turned up the right one now. It should be fine. It depends on whether you want me to turn on my camera here, or I can turn it on my. I can just turn it on stream, and we can just have an audio chat because I'm going to just display capture and set up my scene beforehand. Let's see if I can. Here we go. Sorry about this. I'm just setting up my stream, and I'm just going to take us through like the process of like before we actually go into the recording part of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Take us on this ride.
Yeah. But you said it's
I'll go ahead
raining.
and make an announcement post for us, I guess.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
go ahead and do that, Will, so we can ping everybody and annoy them all.
Annoy. Yeah. I try not to annoy everyone with my at. Like I've taken off the at everyone because it's just like I don't want to like annoy everybody with it. But hey.
Yeah, I feel bad when I do it, but at the same time, it's like, isn't that the whole point of
Yeah.
the ad system to get everybody? But you're always gonna get that one guy's like, God, I can't believe you guys are adding so much. It's like, bro, I only add like once, like a full, like once every blue moon. It's
Yeah. Yeah, you can always mute notifications for a channel, I guess. So there's that.
yeah.
They still get through the adding people. I don't know. I got all my channels muted and it still gets through.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a lot of I don't know, but it's fine. I
Yeah.
don't think people.
I made like role permissions as well for like the different what you want to see, like streams and announcements and stuff, but even then I think people kind of get, they're like, oh, I'm just going to mute it anyway. Mute role notifications. Yeah, so I've got you kind of set up to see when each person's speaking, which is a nice little thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, let me pull up the stream. I have it pulled up. I gotta just kind of.
It'll have a little bit of lag between the stream and the actually what's being said here. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Links up. Someone has reacted, so that means they now know that it's there. And hopefully they come through.
Yeah. Let me see. Actually, I'll turn up the audio just a teensy bit for everybody. Hello, Nota X. Hello, Mikey. I'll just say to chat that I won't be able to like acknowledge you during the recording because we'll have audio listeners. That the majority of our listeners will be audio listeners or people who watch the VOD afterwards. But for those who they have the opportunity to see it live if they want to. So they won't hear all this preamble. They'll just go straight into it. Yeah.
They won't get all that deluxe experience of us not having our audio right.
Exactly. Exactly. Me going, let me change my outline a little. Oh, we got one for malware over here. Actually, I have to rearrange a little, but that's awesome.
Yeah, if it's gonna work, I gotta.
It works.
check.
It works. I can get you in there. Yeah, they're gonna.
I mean, like I'm trying to fix my.
Rigging. What are you using there? Is it Live 2D or something? Oh, sorry, not Live 2D. What's it?
Oh wait, you can actually see me. I can't even see myself for anything.
Oh no, I can
on
see
my
you.
side.
I can see you.
Okay, that's awesome. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm using VR chat. I'm actually in VR. I'm using my Oculus right now.
Nice.
So I got like my controllers and everything, and I wish I could see myself on. Let me see.
Yeah.
I don't know why like Discord now is like, nah, you're not gonna see yourself. Oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah. Booney,
Anyway.
Rifter says, hi Booney. That's my name apparently. Can't be here because the internet's trash. Don't want to waste gigs. Hope the interview goes well. Well, you can always see the VOD later, Rifter. Good to have you here. Yeah, it's good. So I'll do all my hellos beforehand so that we can talk uninterrupted in the meantime. Here we go. Yeah, almost done. Here we go. That was part of it. Most of it's just getting the overlay ready, and then from there it's much easier. Cool, excellent. All right, so how we're gonna do this is, I think if everyone could possibly have like Audacity available, or like some sound recorder available just to record your own voice, and then you can like send that to me afterwards. Just for like a clean vocal, if possible, if at all possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Tora, I don't think Mal's I don't think you're moving though. Mal, I'm not sure if you're supposed to.
I'm setting. Yeah, I'm just setting some stuff. I know whenever I
Nice,
get whenever I like get off my headset, it always does this. So
yeah.
I'm just trying to.
Very sophisticated technology. Yeah.
Yeah, so we use the most sophisticated technology here at Technomancy.
Yes. Full green suit with the little ping pong balls on it as well.
Yeah. like my camera just like like my headset dies and the camera, it goes back to like my webcam and just see me just in like a green suit.
Yeah.
With like
Just
a
in a green
whole
morph
camera
suit.
crew.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, basically how I usually do it is we have different audio files and we sync them up, and that will make like a clean audio. Otherwise, if someone's audio screws up somewhere along the line, it's fine because I've always got the VOD to go back to, and I can just grab the audio from there. But it'll always have the Discord weirdnesses, of like mixing problems and you can't hear someone's voice. So it's always easier if you have something. So all three of you have like, say, some kind of audio recorder that you could record your own voice with, or is that?
Yeah, I mean,
Audacity.
I've got Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got the old Audacity.
If you
before
see
I went
my-
to-
I
Yeah,
use
no,
Audacity. I do. Yeah, it's just the old faithful,
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
try to show my
Every
camera
computer
again.
somehow has it.
I might have to restart this like OBS thing, but
Yeah, OBS grabs your
that's
camera like it really does,
yeah,
because
where is
once you start
settings?
OBS,
Start.
you can't
Yeah,
grab.
crap.
Yeah.
Okay, of
Once you
course, it decides it's gonna break on me right when it was working.
Can you hear me right
Yeah,
now?
but
Can you?
I'm gonna just restart OBS real quick.
I don't know if they can hear me.
Oh no, we can hear you.
Hopefully.
I'm not sure if Mal can hear me
This
though.
issue again.
Mario.
Oh,
He might
Mal-
have his headphones on.
Yeah. I was gonna say to Mel that that looks like
Failed
the
to-
problem that I have with
oh.
OBS when I
Oh, I think I just.
try to use my webcam, but OBS has stolen
That's
the
great.
it from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens all the time. So I had to.
You gotta love how somehow setting up technology is always a pain.
Yeah,
Even when
yeah.
it's supposed to be easy.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. It's just Discord's breaking again.
Oh, right. So that's probably why you can't hear us. They can't hear us.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Oh. Oh.
Even if it's a static image of the face, it's fine too. It's like a little avatar to, I don't know.
Static face of the CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking down for no reason.
Disappointed. No. So yeah, with the Audacity, basically the main thing I try to do is like do a test run of the recording to make sure that it doesn't like boost up against the top and the bottom of the. So if you hit record now, just making sure it doesn't like hit the top and the bottom, because that will make distortion. It doesn't matter if it's super quiet because I can always amplify it later. But as long as it's not so loud that it creates distortion, because that will like make the recording pretty hard to listen to.
No clicking
Yeah,
around here.
my mic's not good enough for it to be able to peak like that. So
Oh, right. No, yeah. Sometimes I get recordings and they're just like boosted to heck, and you can't even you can't remedy it. Excellent.
Sorry about that. I think my. Okay.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, I can hear you.
Discord crashed.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
So let's see. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. That's so cool. I like that. I was just telling
the
these.
official representative.
Yeah, that's even better with like the fan in the background. I need to learn. I need to learn how to do that. I use this thing called VideoTube for this little, but like having a full-on 3D would be fantastic. So yeah, I've got everyone here, and I was just telling, is it G-Bone and Urban? Is that how you say your names? Yeah, and Malware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying how like I just got them to like check their Audacity, just click record for a little bit, and if it peaks on the top and the bottom, then that's probably too loud, and you might have to turn it down so that the distortion doesn't like ruin the recording. But if it doesn't, even no matter how quiet it is, it's absolutely fine. I can always amplify it later. So just if you when you do that, I'll just you can just record whenever because it doesn't take up too much space. I'll let us know when we're actually starting to record. But is that cool with everyone?
Yeah, let me just give it a go. Just do that.
Make sure it's not all broken on your end, Ryan.
Yeah. Sometimes Audacity likes to pick the wrong mic.
True.
Testing. Hello. I don't see it peaking much.
Nice.
Actually,
nice.
It's probably not picking up a lot. Let me see.
As long as it's the right microphone, even if it's a low signal, it's still fine. You know, you can always amplify it later.
No, actually, it sounds pretty all right. All right.
Nice. Okay, well, that's all out of the way, I guess. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. If everyone's ready, we'll get into starting this thing. Excellent.
Alright.
Actually, what I'm gonna do, I won't do that. Okay. Cool. All right. Now I'm just gonna click record on Audacity, and I'm gonna record the video. Before we start, I'm just going to say to chat, I won't be able to interact with you directly until the Q&A section, which will kind of break the fourth wall and say we're doing this live on Twitch, so we're going to take some requests from. So if you have any questions, ask them in chat, and at the end of the recording, we'll go through all the questions in chat, and we'll answer them all. Cool. But for now, just hit record on your recordings. And we'll get into it. I've clicked record already.
All right, I just clicked record as well.
Click it as well.
Excellent.
I will
Cool.
now click it as well.
Nice.
All right, I hope that this doesn't die, or it doesn't die on me now.
It's fine.
But it should be fine now.
Yeah. Even if it, cool. All right, we'll get into it. Cool. In 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, and welcome to RPG Maker Cola, your fizzy soda-filled source of content for game development and design opinions that mean very little in the grand scheme of things. I'm your host Benny, and today I'm interviewing a group of talented developers and artists who are creators of a suite of games that exhibit wit, exacting humor, and a blazing creativity that excites me. Their hit RPG Maker game, Suits, a business RPG, has become somewhat of a sensation over the years, people attaching to its journey about a businessman descending into corruption. In RPG Maker Cola's survey of the top 100 RPG Maker games of all time, it nailed a position at number 53, many citing its Joker Minute style, unique graphics, and scathing commentary as some of their favorite parts of the game. And so it's laid at stake as one of the most influential RPG Maker games out there. With their follow-up sequel, Suits Absolute Power, there seems to be a massive amount of effort put into the graphic elements of the game and some truly impressive animations that just made me almost fall out of my seat. It was a truly impressive looking game. I've not played it yet, but I incredibly look forward to playing it. They also have a demo for their upcoming game, Gamma 19, available right now, so go check that out. I want to check that out as well soon. A game which sees them utilizing a more dynamic color palette than their previous games, and lighting and all those sorts of new things in the pipeline, which we'll find out probably soon during this podcast. But yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for being aboard. It's the one and only, or should I say three and only, Technomancy Studios. How are you guys?
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Thank you so much for inviting us. I mean, we never really get. I don't think you're like the first person to actually really interview us.
Yeah.
Well, no, there was one other
There was
guy.
someone else, but it was less about suits and more about business.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. There was that.
Which
guy.
Suits and business.
They
Yeah, that's
go
right.
hand
Yeah.
in hand.
Yeah. That's the whole point. We made this because we're businessmen
Men of business.
first.
Yeah.
We're running a business. We're very serious about our business. We
Mm,
conduct
yeah.
business all the time. It's everything about it. It's everything. It's everything.
Not just in
very
game, but
important.
out. Yeah. It's the life. Yeah.
Sip some coffee to that one.
Yeah.
And
And we got here with us for the audio listeners. There's Malware, G-Bone, and Urban. Those are the three who make up the team. Yeah. And are there anybody else in the team as well, or is it just you three?
Just us
We
three.
have We have somebody who helps us out with testing every once in a while who goes with the name Unpaid Intern. Although sadly, I don't think they chose that name.
Yeah.
It goes with a theme, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so as for like what role each of you play in the team, maybe, yeah, what role would each of you play in the team, I suppose, when it comes to graphics, gameplay, or story, or all that kind of stuff?
Well,
Oh, man.
go ahead, Will. Take the lead.
We can have a lot of
go ahead,
interrupting
Will.
each other during this. It's fantastic.
You are the CEO.
I am the CEO. So we each take multiple roles as you do with a small team. Mario mostly focuses on coding the game. G-Bone, Mario does the coding. G-Bone does the music, and I primarily do the artwork and stuff. And we all sort of work together when it comes to writing the story and coming up with ideas and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like your ideas in the game are such a collage. I don't know, it just seems that way to someone who plays the game, a collage of like a brilliant amount of new ideas and sort of jokes. I don't know if they're just in jokes, but they're just like all, and there's jokes that some people get about YouTubers and different, there's references all throughout. I guess I'm talking about Suits, a business RPG, because that's the one that I've played. But it's very thick with those sort of references. So you three just like bounce ideas, bounce jokes off each other until something kind of pops off, or?
Yeah, for the most part, we'll usually debate on different ideas. Jokes are just things that we find funny at the time. That's why a lot of the Suits 1 jokes are probably very dated at this point. But I know you haven't played Suits 2, but in Suits 2, we have deviated from that and tried to keep it a little less, anchored to current events. But there are still some references, some good dank memes for the meme lovers out there. I know there's all you meme lovers out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it usually comes down to me to write the final version of like the wording, the structure, the sentence structure. The misspellings are probably my fault from having to write hundreds of lines, short amounts of time. And but as far as the content itself, we usually all just come up with it together and go. Lately, we go chronologically, but in Suits 1, it was kind of all over the place. That was like our first major project, so.
Yeah,
because I'd say maybe you grew over. Would you say like you grew over the years and kind of maybe your humor and your tastes have changed? So that's why your writing style and your development, would that have changed much over the various iterations?
Yeah, a little bit, not too much. It's just that we
just kind of became more aware that like having it's kind of something I think we were aware of with Suits 1 about like trying to, if we shoved a bunch of references like we did with Suits 1, it's just not, it's going to become dated and all that, but we still did it anyway because whatever, it was just funny.
Yeah.
With Suits 2 or Suits Absolute Power, I mean, again, like Gabe said, we completely just went away, like try to avoid that as much as we could. So all the jokes are kind of more like original and like more based around,
the world,
the world,
based around the world.
And yeah, so
yeah, it becomes less dated over time. It's not really too anchored in the moment, I guess, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I'd say that when it comes to our design process for just like that sort of stuff, I think more so than anything else, we've just sort of refined it. Because like when you look at Suits 1, it's just such a rough product that like it's pretty obvious that it's made by people that don't really know what they're doing yet. And so it's not that we've had like major conscious decisions to be like, oh, we need to change this aspect of how we design stuff. It's mostly just been like, as we've gotten older and we've done it more, we're like, oh wait, maybe writing a bunch of memes into a game is going to make it stale and make it so that maybe like 10 years from now people won't care.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, somehow people still care.
Yeah. Because it's sort of like, I if I'm to guess, like, it wasn't made in RPG Maker VX Ace. Is that the engine? Or,
yes, it was made in that one.
Yeah, because that's the engine that I use for years, so I kind of know some of the things back to front. One of the things is like the font, like squishing that sometimes happens when you put different things in there.
When you put too much things and it's like compressing everything into like, I'm like, what is this? But I mean, that's one of the quirks of it.
Yeah, there's quirks, and I think someone else, I think you, one of, I'm not sure which of you had, came into when we were playing the game with DZPG, and they were playing Suits of Business RPG, and he absolutely loved it. He was just like cracking up and laughing the entire time. But one of the things I think was like, if I'm not sure if I'm right, but there was like SP or whatever the point system is, and then it kind of changed to MP on one of the like user interface. There's like little mismatches there and stuff.
Really? Oh man.
But like I think that's part of the charm of it. Like there's a reason why people say it's one of their favorite RPG Maker games of all time, is because I think it's all that charm is just oozing through the game. I feel just your personality and stuff. That's what I'd gain from it anyway.
Yeah, like I'll just say this, like personally, because I'm probably the one here who played more like RPG Maker games, and like it's just, there's just something about that engine. Like even though it's like a, it's not the best engine. You can tell every game kind of feels a little bit the same, but it's just that when people put their own spin to things, and like it really. But I don't know, it's some weird connection with like these RPG Maker games. I feel personally that it's just like. That the engine itself is giving some character to the game itself, because we're just limited to what we can really do.
Yeah.
And I know, like, you can use scripts and all that stuff. Like, I never really programmed any scripts because it was using Ruby, and I don't know anything about Ruby. But like, like something like Lisa the Painful, that one, like, Dingling did a really good job with like pushing that like actually just changing the whole like engine, really, because you had like a side-scrolling platformer thing. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
and people changing some gameplay elements too for the battles and stuff for other games. But yeah, no, there's always like a nice like weird charm, because everything's kind of like unprofessional, like very rough around the edges, and I feel like that's just kind of the thing with RPG Maker games. That just gives it like that nice character to it.
True.
So I can understand why people still like Suits 1. Like personally, I think all three of us here just don't really
we
like
have very strong feelings about that game.
But we also have strong feelings about Suits Absolute Power as well.
Oh god.
Like,
right.
Like
it's
like every time we're done.
A game that we don't hate after we made it, I will be so happy.
I think Gamma 19 might be that game, but I don't know. We're gonna find something to hate about it at the end of the development.
That's good though. It's how we are able to improve. I mean, like if we don't know what went wrong or like what was weakest, then the next game's just gonna be probably like a copycat of the last, or we don't want to fall down the make 20 Suits games reality or whatever. But
which our fans probably would love it if we made a bunch of Suits games. And I'm just like, no, we don't even like. How about Suits 3, guys? Like, no. I don't even want to do Suits 3. Like,
I'm still pushing for Suits VR. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be the only way we go back to
Suits VR is probably the only way we're gonna go back. Like Will said, like we like and like. It's
in the real Suits world.
Yeah,
there's something special. We would prefer that each of our project is like. Maybe not necessarily better, but at least something very uniquely different from the last.
Yeah. You always want to do something new, right? Like it's this rush to kind of bring new experiences. I think that's when I'm making games. I really want to bring the past. Like I look back at my old games, I kind of think, there's always some kind of like you can see all the little flaws in it. I think maybe you might be your own worst critic in that way, right? Is it? Or
I mean, like
maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of things I could say about our games.
Yeah.
I mean, like every time, like people will be like, "We'll play through it," and like, "Oh man, this is awesome." I'm just like, you guys don't understand. Like what we like.
Do you guys know what good games are? Because you're not going to find them.
And that's the problem. It's like when you're inexperienced, or you don't know how to make games, or you don't know how to like program well. You make a bunch of mistakes, and again, like Suits 1, I would say that one, bug wise wasn't really a big issue, because again, we're using RPG Maker. There's not really a lot of like things that could go wrong since you're not really coding directly. Suits Absolute Power is the perfect example of when you don't know how to code something or code in that language, and everything kind of hits you. Like since I'm the guy in charge of doing all the programming, all that. I had to like come up with a way of taking RPG Maker and putting it into the Game Maker engine.
Yeah.
And so I had to write all the systems, and I had no idea how to even start with that. And like, not that I'm like inexperienced at programming, but I wasn't really like all that great at programming.
Yeah.
I knew my things, but like things still didn't click. It wasn't until like halfway till development where everything clicked and I like mastered Game Maker. But then I looked back and everything was like just a pile of trash in terms of coding.
That's a very apt description for most of our products.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I could go and fix a lot of this, but it would break so much more things that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So, and of course, when Suits 2 came out, there was a lot of issues. People were having tons and like but I was there like up till 2 a.m. just fixing all these issues and pushing out updates. Like waking up the next morning, just start slapping my keyboard and boom, pushing a new one out, push another one out. Oh, that update just broke something. Okay, fix it. You know, like it was. And now with Gamma 19, I'm being extra careful. You know, we're using a completely new engine now, which is the Godot engine. Which I'm just gonna say this now. Use Godot. It is the best engine, like best free engine you can get. Like I've been using it. Like I've been porting Gamma 19 from Game Maker to there. It's so much better. I mean, it makes my life so much easier.
Yeah,
but
I've heard so many good things about Godot. Like, I mean, even people like there's some RPG Maker developers like Roach who is creating the what's it called? Kingdoms of the Dump. I'm not sure if you've heard that game, but it's like it's made in Godot. It's one of the it looks gorgeous, but it came from an RPG Maker developer who decided that Godot was right for them, and they just love it. I know they love it so much.
Yeah. So it was that decision was kind of made like once we were finished with the demo for Gamma 19.
Right.
And it was because when Gabe told me, Mario, why is it lagging the moment I step over here? And I was like, oh no, I already know this issue. It's happened in Suits 2. And that was when we were already pushing Game Maker to its limits. Like Game Maker is not an engine that can support large textures or anything. And since everything's being hand drawn by our artists and it's all beautifully hand drawn, honestly the best hand drawn art you can get in any game. Okay, so
sell it.
Yeah, so you got like massive textures. You know, Will just loves making really big textures. I'm talking about like 5 digits in resolution.
Okay, look.
And that's our sprite sheets mostly. They're all like they're really big, but like for some images they're pretty big, and Game Maker just can't handle loading those things in and out.
Right.
So
it's written in an engine that's not designed for like super massive games.
Yeah, it's more like if you make a pixel game, like pixelated game or whatever. Which Gamma 19 was originally going to be pixelated, and we moved away from that.
Because you get developers like Derek Yu who created Spelunky, and apparently, like you said, they created Spelunky, and when they created the first version, they said it was just so messy that anyone who goes in would not be able to know what was happening. Because it was their first, I mean, I don't know if it was their first, but they were just trying new things out with Spelunky, and I feel like people overestimate that amount of developers going in with a full idea of what they need. And I know a lot of developers, even of successful games, will go in with almost no idea of how to make even a game at all, and then just come out with something fantastic just because they learned along the way, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like it's one of the best things I think anybody, especially if you're interested in programming or like computer science, make a game.
Yeah.
Try to make a game and like just keep making them, because I swear to you, I have learned more than what I have in university.
Yeah.
I have yet to I've only touched one programming class in university, and I just aced that class because it was simple. It was Python. But like I right now as my job, like other than Technomancy, I have a part-time job that I work at my university, and I do develop stuff for them. And they asked me, hey, like, how do you think we can fix this situation? Like, come up with a solution. And I'm like, well, here's a solution I'll come up with, just because of just pure experience. Because there's so many times I have to ask myself, how am I going to make this system work for our game?
Yeah.
How am I going to make the cutscene system work? Like, how am I like? You get good to the point where you just start. You see the stuff in your head, like it's like the Matrix or something. You're just like, like whoa, like there's all these options, and just put them all together and just try to come up with something that works best for that.
Yeah.
So definitely it's a great learning experience. It's free, just
Yeah.
your time. It's your time you have to spend, of course, but you know,
Mm.
it's definitely, if people are looking into doing stuff like programming, that's the best way. Because a lot of times I think people are like, well, what language do I have to learn? It's like, don't worry about the language, worry about the fundamentals, and worry about actually making something that works.
Yeah,
I can't say I've made anything that works, but
yeah,
We still haven't gotten to that point.
Yeah, like you said, there's this. I mean, learning along the way, and the sort of like figuring it out. I think I had the privilege of talking to Mortis Ghost, the person who created Off, and
oh, wow.
they also said that they made Off for their friends, but they didn't expect it to blow up for anyone else. They just made it for a few of their friends, and then somehow it gained viral popularity. But it's funny how people come from such humble sort of like aspirations, and then just kind of blows up over time. But that's just how it happens sometimes. I think, and also for G-Bode and Urban, I was wondering about your specific skill sets that you bring. How did you hone those? I guess I forgot who does the graphics and who does the other aspects of and the writing. But where did you come from to help gain those skills? I guess.
Well, I'll go first. Mine's probably shorter.
Yeah.
I'm mainly self-taught. I guess when it comes to writing things down, it was just a matter of us comparing our sentences to each other's and being like, okay, this person can do it better. This person can spell better. This person can grammatically structure things in a way that makes things more clear to a reader. But I haven't really done much like creative writing training or learning or anything. It just, I think that part comes a little more naturally. As far as like being in high school and cheesing all the essays and somehow you just passed them all without really trying too hard. That was kind of something I was capable of doing. So there's that. And I make the music, which in Suits 1, I don't necessarily want to talk much about because
Right.
it's not like pretty music or, it's not exactly entertaining music, but it does fit the theme of the world around it. And there are some entertaining tracks there, but in Suits 2, when you get there, you will see very quickly that there has been a dramatic shift in the
quality,
quality and style of the music made for that game. But they both fit nicely, and that is also self-taught, just constantly practicing, making tracks, trying to make them cooler, better, and always just trying to, since I am so attached to writing what the game is about and planning, it's very useful when you make the music because you're able to, I guess, fit the theme or really make sounds that make you feel like there's a connection between what you're hearing, what you're reading, what you're playing, all of that symphonically intertwined into one beautiful piece of, Suits.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see that growth, and your also personal, like growing in the talents and in the direction that you want to go. It's funny how with Suits 1, I feel like in many ways it's more than the sum of its parts because of the way that it's all kind of the scrappiness of it all coming together. Like the improvement over time, which is I can't wait to experience how that translates into a game. But I know from the first game, it seems like it all seemed to mesh together really well with the art style, the music, the writing style being sort of off the cuff and very improvisational. So feeling at points, even if it wasn't necessarily fully improvisational. But yeah, I felt that definitely, even if, sometimes objectively, if you listen to it by itself, it might not evoke the same feeling. When it's all together, I felt, it felt like a full thing, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't wait to experience it in the sequel as well. Urban, how about yourself? Your particular skills that you bring to the team, how did that come together? You learn those ones. Yeah.
So yeah, I do all the graphical stuff. I do all the art assets, and I do a lot of the writing as well. A lot of the skill sets I have really got developed just during Suits 1, just like with Mario and now we're in G-Bone. because we came into it because we met in high school and we were like, we want to make games, and we were actually going to a school that was like had that as a program, as just like an added on thing to go with the stuff they actually cared about, which was like science and engineering and math, and then there were the game design kids off on like in a room on the opposite end of campus, and so
playing Halo 1.
yeah, like Halo 1.
Halo 1 Combat Evolved demo.
I don't know about you, but I don't know about you, but we used to have to like sneak that installing on the school computers without them knowing. But
no, at some point that just became just kind of
yeah,
the norm.
we would
like
pass
whatever.
flash drives around. Like,
yeah, that had the game on it. We would just be playing it whenever the teacher wasn't looking.
Some weird game, yeah. Pass it around like a virus, spread it around. Halo, and, Halo now.
So we met there, and we started working because the teacher tried to do some game design stuff, but I think we had a different teacher every single year because they kept quitting, and so we didn't learn anything. But we knew that all of us wanted to work on games, and so like I was a terrible artist. I just knew that I generally wanted to be able to draw, and so when we started working on Suits, it was just literally just hit the ground, start running, hope what you make doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And so I just constantly every day trying to draw and get better, and like you can really see a lot of the shortcuts in the game when it comes to art, because sometimes things like you can't tell what something is on the ground until you interact with it. It says this is what this item is, and it has a little joke. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was a trash can. It looked like a blob. And like you can see that none of the enemies in the game have necks because I couldn't draw heads and necks. So I was just like shoulders to head there. And so it was a heck of a lot of just learning on the fly of just like, oh god, human anatomy.
Yeah.
Forging in the fire.
I think some of them might have come across as some very smart satire of RPG Maker games and indie game development at the time, but it was also like you were just a bunch of teenagers making a game, which is also like an added like blessed irony to it. But I wouldn't have guessed that how young you were when you created the game, I think.
Well, we weren't. I wouldn't say we were teenage. Okay, we were full-fledged legal adults.
Oh,
okay,
right.
18 years old. Yeah, basically. We're ripe 18 years old. Okay? We're elders, basically. So we made Suits 1 during my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
And it was we did it for 9 months because we were working on other games. We worked on other games before Suits 1. One that we don't like to speak of, and then a few others that we did during high school, which we had actually joined a club to do, which is like it's called Future Business Leaders of America, and basically there was a bunch of competitions you can enter, and they were all like business related. And of course, they had a game design one, and we were like probably like the only guys who were just like, let's go all out. But we had zero skill. So we made a game that we called The Intern.
That's where the unpaid intern gets his name from, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had this original idea. It was gonna be like mini games, all this, and in the end, it was like a really crappy platformer that barely worked, and yet we still got like third or second place. I don't remember.
We actually got to the point where we
got. I think we got first place in district, and then we got
We didn't pass at states, but like it turns out that we were like 3 people would win at the state level and then go to the national level. And it turns out that we had apparently won 4th because somebody dropped out. And so our teacher was like, I should have told you this, but there was a chance you guys could get knocked up the ladder and you guys could be in 3rd place and you could go. And by this point, like a month had passed. And so we were like, we don't have time to make this something that can win. Yeah. So we just decided not to go because if you win in that, you can't do it again the next year. So we were just like, screw it. We'll just make another game next year.
Which
also didn't make it to nationals.
Yeah, we don't know what happened exactly. We need to contact. I think I don't know. He doesn't know, but one of our teachers there should know. I don't know if he knows anymore. If he still has the paperwork as to why we didn't fail, but it's been years since this happened.
We're convinced they accidentally couldn't have launched the game because it was a 3D game.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them because we made it with the earliest version of Unreal Engine 4, and that would have blown their they're probably running these things on
a school computer,
on a school computer, which our game could barely run on, but still. And it was Virus Hunter, which we made a reference to in Suits 1.
Nice.
Yeah,
So-
if you like in the media district, if you like, there's a section where you can go into the computer and you fight these like 5 random enemies, like Bite Bandit, and like they have other names. Those are all bosses from that original Virus Hunter game.
Right.
Yeah.
Based on real computer viruses.
Yeah.
Because all of those prompts in that club were like, "Oh, make a game that teaches people this thing," and it's like, I'm not sure games are, that's not what they're best at doing, but that's what the prompts.
We'll
always
give it
were.
our shot.
So
Yeah.
it always ended up being like, oh, create some kind of game where there's like a question and answer system that allows you to progress, and it's just not fun, and that's not a game. It's
Yeah.
not game design. That's simulating tests.
The funnest thing about all that is that we like, then this is the origin story for Technomancy. Like this moment, like we're at the competition, and I think it's like the last or the second to last day, and they're like announcing the winners and stuff, and like the game design thing comes, and we're all there, we're all hyped, we're like, we know we're gonna win because we might not get first, but we're gonna place and we're gonna go to states because we're gonna go to nationals because it's like no other game that anybody's made is probably gonna be a 3D game. And we're sitting there, and they call, and we're like, they didn't call us. And they do the next one, they don't call us. They do the next one, they don't call us. And they go through the entirety of the people going up there, and they don't call us. Like, we don't even place.
Wow.
And it's just like, we all have this moment where we looked at each other, and we were like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And so, like, we're standing outside the hall after everything's done. And I think Mario turns to Gabe and I, and he was just like, we're going to make a game, and we're going to show them that we're good enough. Because, like, we were all angry, but I think Mario put it into words first, where he was just like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And then we like immediately were just like, all right, we're gonna get back, we're gonna make something great, and then we made suits. So we kind of failed at that. But
Not exactly all of the pieces of the puzzle, Will.
Well,
there's a bunch missing. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Omitted some
I
information.
vaguely remember. I mean, I remember though that yes, that is what I did. I did like kind of just we were all upset, and I was definitely angry, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna just make our own game. We're gonna make our own game. We're gonna make money, and we're gonna do it like better this time. And then we didn't really do that. The first Steam published game, which shall not be named.
You're right. That was
I
the
will
one we
name
did first.
Yeah.
That was our first game we published on Steam.
I blocked that one out of my memory. I'm not gonna lie.
that one.
Around the time that Steam had the Steam Greenlight program. I don't know if you remember those days.
right.
But Steam Greenlight was like some system where they intended for developers to post like I guess a concept of the project, but it felt like they really wanted complete projects anyway. But they were like, oh, post your concept and then the community will vote on it. And if you get enough votes, then we will allow you to be on the store. But then they would also never really feature the Steam Greenlight, and they hid it away for months and months and months until eventually they just killed it. And we're like, you know what? Anybody that gives us $100 can go on Steam.
Yeah. It was always a strange concept to me, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how Suits 1 also got like and I think that probably
2 games
helped.
went through the Greenlight process and successfully. So that's
Yeah,
Nice.
we had put 3 games in the Greenlight. Only 2 came out.
And we only scammed our way through twice.
Yes, I am still dodging my taxes to this day.
Speaking of that, like you put it on the store. Was it originally always like say less than $1, or was it more higher sort of price earlier? That suits a business RPG, that is.
Well, if we could have put it lower.
The first time we wanted it to be we on the Greenlight page we said I think $5 was what we wanted it to be, but then like as we were getting closer to the end of development, we were all just sitting around and we were like, if someone would pay $5 for this game, I would question their sanity at that point.
Yeah.
If this is a $5 game, this is a terrible game. And then we released it, people said we should charge $5 for it.
Yeah, there was a lot of people surprisingly like, this would be worth $5. And I was like, what's wrong with you? Like,
did you play the game?
I mean, and I think it was after that we kind of came up with a new way of how we price our games. So we kind of say, okay, we're gonna make a game and let's try to make it worth $10, but sell it for like $5, which is like Suits' absolute power.
Yeah.
Because one thing is we like to have people play our games, and I know some people don't really have a lot of money, especially our younger audience. I know for myself, like it was hard for me as a kid just to go and buy a game, just because most games cost a bit of money, and I would have to ask my parents, and I don't like asking them for things. So if I had any money of my own, it was just like I can't really spend $60 on a game. I can't
Exactly.
spend, $20. It was like but like a $5 game, Borderlands was on sale $5. Like, Dad, can I get this? It's on sale. I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even run on my laptop. So
that's what brought people to the RPG Maker sphere in general, and the freeware games kind of movement was probably because of all these myself being a child who never bought games, just played RPG Maker games because they were free and could run on my crappy laptop. So that's kind of where it came from. But even still, like Suits being $1 kind of US dollar kind of or less, it kind of speaks to I guess the themes of the game as well, in a kind of meta way, I suppose.
Yes. Actually, funny thing, recently we had done a sale on Suits for like the recent Halloween sale. And I checked on the day of the sale at 1:00. We had sold like 1,700 copies, like over. And I mean, like, I think like throughout the week we were just selling more. I think we sold like 3,000 copies of Suits. When I was like, what is going on? And
how does everybody not already own this game?
Yeah,
like a couple weeks ago. This was very recent.
Yeah, no, this was like the most recent Halloween sale. And I clicked to check the statistics, and all of them came from Argentina. And I was like, I was like, muchas gracias para comprar mi juego. I really appreciate it all. But I didn't even know why was it, what happened in Argentina that everybody decided they were going to buy Suits. And when I check the value of the peso there, $1, $1 is worth 99 or like 90 something dollars there.
Yeah.
But apparently recently they just had a big inflation thing happen. So Steam still had it at its original value of $13.99 pesos.
Argentinian pesos.
Yeah. So they were paying 7 cents for the game. And I was like, you know what? I'm not complaining. I'm not going to even bother changing the price. Like, let them buy it. Like, they obviously wanted the game, or they're just collecting it or something to never play it ever. That's sometimes a lot of people buy the game. They don't play it. But I was just like, that was nuts. And it kind of does lead to a problem with Steam of they need to really make sure they update those prices too, because I mean it is on our part as well, but that was kind of like a really recent thing apparently, where it's just like they're really having bad inflation.
That is
a economy.
Yeah, it has been a thing lately. Definitely, I think I've noticed that like a lot of people from Argentina and other countries just sort of asking for prices to be brought down because that of the local economies, and I just kind of feel in those situations that Steam just get their act together when it comes to that kind of stuff. But it's probably a bit more complicated than that, but still. And I kind of also want to. I think it's a good time now to kind of talk about your transition from Suits 1 to Suits 2, because it seemed you went to Game Maker, and it seemed like an upgrade in every way, from like graphics to music. Just tell me a little bit more about what Suits 2 represents for you, and how you feel about how that game.
Yeah, so Suits 2, I would say, was kind of like our it was a really
real game almost.
Yeah, like it was really weird because we were working before Suits 2. Like we didn't just jump into Game Maker. We were actually making some other games in Game Maker.
Right.
We made a few mobile games. We made two of them, Pocket Drillionaire and Super Pocket Drillionaire. I am not sure if they're still on the Google store page because Google keep changing their policies and things like that, and then they'll take your games down if you don't accept their policies. And I don't know. It's probably there. It's probably not there. I don't even know. I don't care anymore. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
We also were making our canceled game, Zoopocalypse, which I could see you actually put the little animals on top of one of our heads. Down there.
in the
probably
layout.
Mine. It's my biggest shame.
Yeah, it's kind of like all of our biggest shames. I think it was definitely one of those ideas where it's like beginner. We all knew we're beginners, and we all know the rule of don't try making a multiplayer game if you're a beginner.
We broke that rule twice.
It's our second time breaking the rule. It's our second time breaking the rule. We want to make like a fun co-op game, but the thing is, we realized making it was just not fun, and it didn't look good.
At the time, I didn't know what a color palette was.
Yes, I was screaming at Will though about making a color palette. Like late in development, I was like, "Yo, you should make a color palette because this white's different from this white. Like they're just slightly different shades. Like this is going to like."
How are you using pixels of different sizes? It's just like I don't know.
Oh
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like a lot of things like that one hurt because I think we spent quite a bit of time on that game.
We spent like a year working on that, and then we were just like, oh wait, we spent a year working on something we can't do anything with. And
then after that, we actually then made Gamma 19, which used a lot of things from Zoopocalypse. In terms of it's kind of like similar movement system of like you kind of have this like pseudo like 3D depth, or you're kind of like it's 2D, but you can kind of walk back and forth like. This is like a beat 'em up style game, really. So
yeah.
And so we were going to make that like an RPG, and that was also pixel art, and that was when Will finally figured out the color palette. We figured out the color palette. I made a palette for him to use, and he expanded upon it. And we're still actually using that same color palette for the current version of Gamma 19.
Nice.
Nothing. So really, it's just more like we're just upping the res now. So
we ended up going from Gamma 19 to making like a really bad visual novel joke. And then before going back to Gamma 19, we were like, all right, let's make Suits 2 because people seem to like Suits 1. Let's get it out of the way.
Yeah, because we were already getting kind of tired of working on Gamma 19.
So just because what we wanted it to be.
The old version, yeah.
Yeah, the old version.
Yeah.
We were getting really tired of it because like we were struggling of making these systems work and like all this. It was just we're still not very experienced. We're still struggling with everything and how Game Maker works and all this stuff. And so we're like, all right, let's just make a simpler game. Let's just do like a quick little funny visual novel called Kitsune Kitchen, and it wasn't too bad. It was okay. It worked. Barely any bugs. I don't think there was any bugs actually. I don't know.
There were a couple at launch, but I think you fixed one.
Oh well, yeah. But with that, then I created this wonderful system for like text boxes and like making like cutscenes in Game Maker. That then we use that same exact system in Suits 2.
Right.
Which is great. Obviously, Suits 2 is probably a little modified, a little bit better than Kitsune Kitchens because it needed more stuff. It's a bit more complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after Kitsune Kitchen, we kind of came together. We're like, are we going to keep doing Game 19 or do Suits 2?
Yeah.
Because that's what people like. Let's just do Suits 2. I think that's a better investment right now.
I feel like it was a joke back then too, because we never intended to make Suits 2 ever. Like,
yeah.
As far as
it was just something that we knew we could do, but we weren't we didn't have any plans other than the CEO showing up at the end of the Suits 1 game.
I vaguely remember when we were writing the end of Suits 1, being like, oh, we could do this. I don't know if I should spoil it. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but either way, it was like the ending that exists felt open-ended. It was like a comment I think I said, like, it feels like there's a chance, this could continue or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think we did that at the end. There's like a...
Yeah, it's like to be continued question mark.
After that was like a...
Yeah. It's funny because when I looked at the difference between Suits 1 and Suits 2, that's what I was thinking before you explained it right now. There was it seemed to be like a massive upgrade in many ways, and I was thinking, is there new team members that they brought on board to make it look so graphically gorgeous and look so polished? But it makes sense that you made games between and it sort of kind of trained your skills and you brought them through to a new engine, and it just looks like it's like a massive, it's like massive growth there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Will's the artist, but I like to call myself the technical artist because I usually do all the shaders and like all the extra stuff to help make Will's art look like pop out.
Yeah.
So like one thing we were doing was when we were putting together like the demo, it was I was like, these buildings look really flat, and I just kind of this idea just came up in my mind. Just let me just make the sprite. That was just this like gradient square box and just put them under the buildings, and that like fixed the problem. It gave the buildings like this like the shadow that kind of made it pop from the floor, so that players can see like, oh, this is clearly a wall,
Right.
And then like we got the I forgot what you call that effect. It's that like the darkening of the corners of the vignette,
Vignette, yeah.
the vignette effect, yeah. And of
I
course
still think that
the
the reflection that you made was really one of the better ones.
oh yeah, and then like the fake reflections on the
Oh.
ground, like especially the first demo, we show that off a lot with like the shiny floors and all that stuff. And when you play it, you'll see it.
You can't do that stuff in RPG Maker. Like with
yeah.
the tile sets, there's like they have the shadow tiles or whatever for walls, but applying shadows under a building or something is something you'd have to basically draw into the sprite, I guess, if you wanted to do something like that in
Exactly.
an RPG Maker.
Yeah, they're using like parallaxes and doing all fancy stuff. I find a lot of people are trying to break the RPG Maker engine, and that way they'll stubbornly stay on the RPG Maker engine and won't move on to something like a Game Maker or Godot, even though they probably should, because they're trying to break it in ways that would be a lot easier to implement in, say, Game Maker or Godot. But hey,
yeah, no. To those people, I'm just saying, just don't even bother. Like, that's not even. It's like you're going to be giving yourself heck. Like, let me tell you, like Godot just it'll do things for you. Like you don't even have the code for most of the stuff. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Localization, parallax backgrounds, lighting. There's no coding. There's no need to code for that. It's already there. You just kind of just mess with the settings, and boom, you got this beautiful looking. I mean, like when I was porting Game 19 over there, it took me only a few minutes just to make like a quick visual demo that was already impressive.
yeah,
And then like a few days to actually get it working properly. So yeah, I mean, like, look, I get it. You guys love RPG, but like, there's just so many things you're missing out.
yeah,
Like, and this is the one thing I proposed to the guys. I was like, look, Game Maker, this is why it's better. If I wanted our character Jerome to crash into the middle of a battle or in the middle of the town, like in a rocket ship for some reason, you can't do that in RPG Maker easily. Like, that's going to take a while. But like, I can just say create an object and slam it down as this thing, and then, continue the cutscene or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, look, if you guys hate yourself that much and you want to keep using RPG
I think they do.
Maker,
I think they do. I think that's the main reason.
I mean, anybody that makes games is a little bit of a masochist. So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like for me, RPG Maker, because I have made many failed attempts at like solo RPG Maker games.
Yeah.
And for me, it feels like when you go to the bowling alley and they put the rails up on the side, and then they also give you this ramp, so you just put the ball on and then it rolls down for you. It's like rail based game design, and that's fine. And I do enjoy what people can do in there.
Yeah.
But you have to think really creatively. If you think you are just gonna like a lot of what we noticed when we first made Suits 1 was most RPG Maker games were just using the stock assets, and people that were taking those stock assets and trying to make their own assets that were similar to the stock assets. And that's, I guess, a big reason why ours looks so far from that, because that was the first thing we were certain about. It's like, we can't make anything that looks like the stock assets. Everyone is doing this, and it's bad. We know it's bad. All of them are bad. There's not one good game with stock assets that anyone's talking about, because they're all bad. And the good ones have completely unique styles. So that's what you have to do. And honestly, you have to do that for any game you make. So it doesn't matter what you use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we didn't answer your original question.
Oh, right.
All right. Well, we're getting
the
to
question
that.
was what does Suits I think it was like, what does Suits 2 represent for us?
Yeah, I was just talking in general. Yeah, what does it mean to you? What's it like? Yeah.
I just think it's like a benchmark of generalized improvements across the board.
Yeah.
The thing
I think that actually sets a standard for us. Like the difference between Suits 1 and Suits 2 is something that we might not succeed, but we're going to try to maintain that distance of quality, like between one project to the next, of just like improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to compare that project to the last, or Suits 2 to Suits 1, which had things in between it. That's a bigger gap, so it's like, this is vastly different. That's why you feel the way you feel when you look at the Steam page or whatever. You're like, oh my gosh, this is miles beyond Suits 1 RPG.
Yeah, when you see the Suits Absolute Power anime opening, you're like, what?
But in our mind, when we see it, we're like, oh, the Kitsune Kitchen text box is here still. They're the same. So that,
there's just I guess that's the thing, and I always wonder too, like for games that are very successful, like I've been playing a lot of Deltarune. I just beat it for the third time already.
Wow, yeah.
I love it a lot, and I respect Toby Fox for his work, but I also hate him, and I'm envious. But I'm well, a bit envious, but
not even joking about that. Very envious.
I mean, but it's not like it's more like I need to make something better than him. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like that competitiveness of just like we got to do something crazier, or like something just feels better. But at the same time, we're both making different games.
Yeah,
we both make completely different games, and our audiences might not be the same. I mean, his game is very goofy and all this stuff, and like that's what I love about it. But like we're here,
like
a little bit more childlike.
Ours is very quirky. There's a big difference.
Quirky, goofy. Yeah, like we're the quirky. He's the goofy. Like we're
got our lanes,
different niches. Yeah.
But like I would say too, like right now, like Gamma 19, like it's kind of going to try to be more like feel a little bit more professional, a little bit more like like. I don't know how to put it really, because like there's some roughness with like even Undertale, Deltarune, those games. But that's like part of the charm of it. You got a little bit of that like weirdness and doing things, and it's like, but we're following like strict rule guidelines. Like I'm not stretching sprites for funny comedic purposes. We're gonna be trying to keep things like consistent, do things, make things look.
It's not a comedy game, so
yeah,
it's not. But it's just. Even like Suits 2 as well is like we kind of try to not to do that as well. Like we're trying to.
If we're ever doing visual jokes, it was because we were like actually making every single like on my end sprite for what that was gonna be.
Yeah. I feel like, I was gonna transition to Gamma 19 anyway when I was thinking about like what that was like for you, because it also does remind me a little bit of like. I don't. This might be an insulting comparison. I apologize, but I find it a positive comparison to like Newgrounds content. Like I say, you got Sunny, you got like some of those early animations, but they had like this particular quality to it that was very unique. That's just what I was looking at when I remember playing this RPG called Sunny, and I loved it, and I think. There was this, and even the Henry Stickmin, how they created those ones.
Oh man, I remember those games when I was a kid.
Yeah, it had that similar nostalgic feeling when I was looking. I don't know if that's what you were intending, but I definitely get it when I look at these screenshots.
We were all on Newgrounds in our youth, so there's probably some like subconscious connections there.
But... I guess it really is just because we kind of have like the smooth outlines, like which is like something very common in Flash. Like at the time people you just make very smooth, like cartoony. It's very cartoony too. Like we got like if you look at some of the frames that Will does a lot of like smear animations or smear frames. I could see how people. Because a lot of times those old Flash games, usually those guys are like crazy good at like a lot of times they're really good at animating, and so like they put a lot of effort into like doing like crazy stuff with the stick people, and
I mean that's just something about like the general art style that popped up on Newgrounds. Obviously, this doesn't apply to everybody, and I can't speak for every artist, but it looked like to me back in the day, a lot of them took advantage of simpler character designs to be able to animate more.
Yeah.
And as like the one art guy, like I have to maintain this idea of like the things have to be easy for me to be able to do, or for me to be able to just keep moving forward. So like I can't have super detailed characters. I can't have like hyper realistic faces. It's like this guy's got a circle for a head and 2 dots, and that's what we're running with.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can contribute to the charm of the PC. I think of games like The Binding of Isaac and things like that, where it's so simple, but like you can make it detailed within that simplicity of the character design. And that's, for me, the kind of style that it reminds me of, with a little bit more detail, I feel. And I think that could be a real charm aspect to this game. But I don't know too much about it. Also, Alien Hominid and stuff as well. They're massive influences for me as a kid.
Castle Crashers was the game
that's our benchmark.
That's actually the one that the Gamma 19 probably takes the most sort of inspiration, both good and bad, from.
I can see that. Castle Crash is fantastic, like absolutely fantastic.
It's a really good game.
Yeah, well, we played it because we were like, okay, let's play this game let's write some notes before we start remaking Gamma 19 again.
We had already played it once before, but like we decided to go back and play it again. Like, how do let's play this game from the perspective of game designers. Why were these decisions made?
Yeah, we start like for example, like combat was one of them that was like I was really trying to look at and see how they were doing. Like were the collisions, how they handle it. I mean, I can't really see exactly how they did it, but I could just take a good guess as to like what they were doing and try to emulate what kind of try to do that.
Yeah.
So that's when we realized, wow, this game really, has some flaws with like shooting, for example. Shooting the arrows really sucks. Fighting felt like we're playing again. Like I did not enjoy it playing it again, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It felt like it was really just like we were slapping some enemies around, and we just didn't know whether they were dead or if they were just just going to come back up or something.
Yeah.
So we took those.
None of these things in a vacuum make the game bad. It's still
no. It was just things that I personally, it's just a personal thing.
Hypercritical to, I guess,
for the sake of making it so that we don't have those things.
Well, the way I see it is that you see the flaws in it. I oftentimes have ideas and make games that are complaints about what I see as flaws in most games, and I try and like improve in that area because, like, for example, what the game I'm creating at the moment is about choice in games. I've oftentimes thought that choice in games is a little bit limited and not very, they don't focus on the interesting parts. So I'm like, okay, what if you just try to make it more?
Good example of how the game industry has failed us for choices.
Yeah, so I'm replaying through Fallout New Vegas and I'm just discovering new things and I'm thinking, okay, I want
best Fallout
game. So I'm like, I want to go in that direction, not the so it's all these kinds of things, and I feel like maybe Gamma 19 you could say, played Castle Crashers, liked this but didn't like this, so let's make it more, better in this area so we don't fall into that same trap.
I think one of the things we liked the most from it was just like some of the variation in like level designs. So like we're taking some of that. We also want to have like as much as the combat, like the biggest issue I think we had with it was just that it got repetitive. Like at its base, it's fun, but like when every enemy, like the same thing happens where it's like, oh, I've learned that I can knock the enemy into the air and then carry them across the screen with air attacks. It's like, if you can simplify it to that, you should find a way around that design-wise to prevent it from happening, because then things get stale.
And we have to come at it from a different approach, because Castle Crashers is a multiplayer game. So you get, even though you're just basically button mashing for, I don't know how long it takes to beat the game, hours. You're with your friends, though, so it's kind of like there's that, which makes it a cooler experience.
Yeah.
And the story of Castle Crashers is,
non-existent.
You know what it is.
It's not bad. It's just not there.
It's like a more of a little like funny,
It's goofy. It's a goofy little thing.
The story wasn't the reason for the game existing.
Yeah,
right.
Reminds me of Metal Gear Slug and stuff, like old school brawlers that you plugged in.
It's an arcade game. The story doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Which I think is like one of the biggest things that we sort of come at with game design, and I feel like to an extent it stems from how limited we were at the beginning.
Fallout New Vegas and games that had stories that you really felt like like it was worth being here for this. I did this. I made
like
this stuff
this
happen.
story was good enough to mean something.
We feel like that's kind of fading lately, so we kind of want to, I guess, utilize that, since other areas don't do it as much these days. I mean, some people do, but
you still do get games that have really good stories to them, but it's like
mostly I would say
olden days.
Like
that's what we wish was still around.
It's just nowadays is like now we just kind of have to rely on like I feel like I rely on like indie games to be like the ones that really carry a good story nowadays. Like do like good like choices. And not every good story needs to have choices. I mean, that's the thing I wanted to bring up too. Is that Gamma 19, visually when you play it, you're going to see it's pretty linear, and so is the story. I mean, it's going to be a pretty linear story from start to finish. There's not really going to be any real choices or anything that are going to make an impact.
Right. Well, there's choice based on like play style, I would say.
Play style is going to be.
I would argue that's
put the choice there, because I feel like games should have choices. That's kind of what makes it. I don't know. Some of the best games have the most.
It's what makes the medium the most unique compared to other art forms.
The way you can influence what you're looking at is something.
It's like an experience that's way more involved than any other form of art really has the ability to be, except for like performance art. But like,
yeah.
But,
not everybody can go to see performance art. So
as far as like dialogue choices, that's something that when you have a super linear story, that's not necessarily important. Whereas when you're trying to make an open world game, you kind of want to have a feeling that you are putting your own unique twist inside of that world, which I guess Suits 1 is kind of like an open world game compared to Gamma, which is just a linear, like, we're going to tell you a story and you're going to beat up the bad guys.
Yeah, but you can tell the story along that line a bit more, in a different kind of way than you have before, perhaps. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the benefits of more linear storytelling compared to like branching choices and stuff. Is like you can really focus in on exactly how the player is going to experience a story when you have that control.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we're running out of time, but thank you so much. I think we're going to really quickly answer some community questions. Thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been amazing hearing just the inside stories of what goes on behind the doors of Technomancy Studios. Yeah, but we're going to answer some from... Well, the first one's from your community, the Technomancy Studios Discord, Zim Zagoon, who asks, always been curious about the development process, especially for small or studio indie games. How do you decide on an idea, and what are some of the main challenges you run into when creating a game? We've kind of explored a little bit of this, but if you have anything else to sort of chime in with, then feel free.
I think
deciding an idea is different than what we've been talking about. And deciding an idea is not easy at all. It's actually
the hardest part.
It's kind of the hardest part. It's like you're really spelunking in a way because you don't expect to find what you find to be what you feel is the best idea. It just kind of comes to you. So
Suits 1 stemmed entirely from like drawing. Mario drew like 4 characters, and then we just ran with it and made an entire world that they could fit in, and we came up with what the story was going to be just like on the fly. And the same thing for Gamma 19. Mario made like pixel art of a guy wearing a poncho and a robot, and we were like, all right,
make it a game. Specifically, that was in a file called I'm not going to say
thing I will never touch again.
Thing I will never touch again. There was a very foul word that was used in front of it too.
Right.
It was like thing I will not ever use to touch again. And one day I just opened it up and showed it to Gabe. I was like, yeah, check this out. I was like trying to tell Will about color palettes, and Gabe's like, it's pretty cool.
That. What if we made a game based on that?
What if we made a game in this world where that guy is like, we'll see like a picture, an image, or a thing, and be like, what if this entire world was built around that thing? And knowing that like that's what we want to do is just, it's really based on just feeling, just raw, like, do I feel like this is something worth putting all this time into to see to the end? And usually the answer is no. So it's not easy to find like a good idea.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes if you have an idea that you think is good, and it might change in the end, but just run with it. Honestly, if you really just want to make a game, like just run with the idea.
If you're feeling it, just take it and run.
Yeah,
you got to be feeling it. That's the key, is to really feel attached to that idea, so that you have that energy to even see it through to the end, because it's a long process.
Yeah. As much as it's not something you can apply to every situation, like and you can't always hunt for it, but you have a really good idea when ideas just keep coming. Like you see an image and just like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about that? It just keeps coming. And like sometimes you can't have that. Sometimes you just have to find a way to be like to make something work. Like I know for a fact in like Suits 2 and some parts in Suits 1, we were like, how do we make this work? And we just had to do it. But like when you can get to that state of the ideas just like showing up, and maybe they're not all good, but you can refine them, that's when you know you've got something.
Yeah, just ideas building off ideas, right? Yeah, it's kind of coming, flowing.
For the most part,
yeah. Excellent. We have to thank you, Zim Zagoon, for the question. We sort of have to not zoom through, but try and get answer everyone's questions within the time that we have. But Chibix from the Technomancy Studios Discord asks, what are some of your favorite books or other literary or media works?
So I'm not someone who reads, honestly, a lot. I mean, like, if I were to show you my bookshelf, it's just programming books because that's all I read. I would read a lot.
Yeah.
Nor am I, but I
I
want.
am the most literally minded of us.
Yeah, but like I would say the recent thing I read was because I'm a big fan of Warhammer 40K.
Oh.
I read the Iron Warriors omnibus, the entirety of it, and I love that. So that is the only like thing liter. I
Yeah,
guess
I mean, I like Bethesda games pre Fallout 4.
Yeah.
I think those have been generally my favorite experiences as far as games go. Because when I was younger, I was like I played shooters. I was a dude bro shooter guy, as Urban used to call me.
I remember that was one of the first things. I was like, "Oh, you're a dude, bro," and you were
and I
like,
still am because those games are popular for a reason. They're good.
I never discounted that.
I know, I'm just kidding, but the early Bethesda titles they were great world experiences, and now anytime I play a game, I'm just kind of feeling the world itself, and it's like, am I in a world that feels really unique? Because I feel like game design, in a way, is just world creation when you think about it on like a philosophical scale or something. But,
like a simulation of a world that you've created.
Yeah, and feeling that world tends to be everything to me. So like Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3. Tried Fallout 1, but I cannot stand those ancient mechanics. They're too ancient for me.
Yeah, right.
But
So
as far as games media, that's me.
I'm a massive nerd. Most of the stuff that I've cared about have been things like video games and stuff. But I think probably my biggest influences, both as just like writing and as an artist, come from like comic books and manga and stuff. Because back when I was a kid, I would just like constantly read that. Like I read the Sonic Archie comics when those were a thing. I read like Spider-Man occasionally. I read like Scooby-Doo comics. I read Bone. I read like Naruto for a while, One Piece, some old manga called Beat the Vandal Buster, if anybody knows what that is. And like, so most, as you can probably tell from some of the more graphic things, I come a lot from that perspective of like cartoon art, and like that stuff always influenced me. It was always really fun.
Excellent. Thank you, Chibix. Strung Up Starlight from Unique Indie RPGs. They had 3 questions, but I think one of them was sort of answered. And we need to cut them for time, but I'll ask 2 of them because one of them is really short. The first one is, what part of development is the most rewarding for you and the team, and what is the most challenging?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I think the most rewarding is actually releasing a final product in the end.
Right,
you really get to see people interact with it, play it on their own, stream it, talk about it. Just watching them go through it is always fun, and I like watching them listen to my songs and comment on them. And Will probably likes hearing people go, "Wow, this art, wow!" People say that.
I think one of the happiest moments I had after after Suits Absolute Power was released was there was a guy who was doing a playthrough called GSD Boxer. And, there's like a scene at the beginning of the game where the main character stands up, and it was like this gif that it took me a little while because it's the character going from laying down face first on the ground to like fully standing up. I'd never animated that before. And I was like, I finished it and I was like, I think it's good, but whatever, moving on. And like that animation played and he was like, oh, it's looking smooth. And I just had this like feeling. I was like, oh, thank God. But
nice.
I think personally, the things I like the most are like, I really like, and this is going to sound deranged a bit, but I like when there's a scene that a player gets to that they either have to make a really tough choice or they have to do something that like kind of hurts them a little bit, like you get a bad end in a game. And so like seeing people get to that moment and seeing a piece of art that you worked on that's like made up of pixels on a screen and really crappy drawings actually emotionally impact someone. I think that's one of the best moments you can have, is just someone who creates media, just like, hey, I got you to feel for like a stick figure. I find value in that a lot. I really enjoy those moments.
Nice.
In terms of like the hardest part of development, I want to say both the middle and mostly the near the end of development is the hardest part.
Right.
Mostly the end, mostly the end, really, if anything. Simply because, like for us, we spent 2 years working on Suits Absolute Power, and we were trying to like Are we done yet? Are we done yet? Yeah, that's the problem. Getting ahead. Are we done yet? We're really close. All right, we got it done. No, we still missing a bunch of things. We got to go back and add all these things that we're missing. Why didn't you add these things? Well, I was like, well, we got a bunch of other things we got to do first, and then and then you go through testing a bit, and you find out, okay, there's still a few things we're missing. There's still this big issue that's occurring, and that is definitely the hardest and the most stressful part. And I know some people might think, well, what about when you release the game and there's all these bugs? I'm like, no, that's not even the most stressful part. I mean, it gets a bit stressful because then, it kind of ruins the experience. I think it might ruin the experience for some our gamers who play Suits. But a lot of our fans, they just still kept going. I'll wait for the update, and then they'll play it after the update comes out. And honestly, it's easier when they start reporting bugs because I know exactly where to find every single bug they will mention. There was a whole bunch of them. They give me a league list. I'm like, okay, and I'll just go through all that list. I'm like, ding, 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 boom, new list of bugs. Fix that until there was just no more bugs.
Yeah. I'd say that there's a really super high percentage of people on Steam that seem to enjoy that. Leave positive reviews for your work, so I think in general people leave with a positive impression.
And I'm gonna say this: I like the negative reviews, to be honest. Right. I use those. I usually just look at those more often. I mean, I love reading the positive ones just to make me feel better. But
I just get
the negative ones
by some random on Steam.
The negative ones usually I'm like, okay, either this one's a pretty good criticism of the game. This one, the guy just didn't like it. And, I can't really do much about that. If you just didn't like the game, you didn't like the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times they're like, hey, I hated the gameplay or the main combat system. It kind of crap, and I was like, I agree with you on that.
What a coincidence! We all hated it.
Me too.
Yeah, that was the weakest part of the game, to be honest. It was just we kind of just didn't do anything that special with it. But
yeah,
I mean, we did what we could.
Yeah.
If that's everyone, I think I'll ask also their final question. Well, not the final question of the community. This person asks, have you ever gotten Jerome's insta-kill attack to work in Suits with the 1% chance toggled on?
Our unpaid intern did get the...
Yeah, he got it one time and then never...
So, there's a few things. One guy who made a review on our game, Niz... NIX. Honestly, watch that guy's review. It is the best Suits 2 review on YouTube.
Because it's the only Suits 2.
Yeah, I think it's the only one, honestly. We're still waiting on Nitro Rad to, I'm waiting on him.
Yeah, should return.
We will keep waiting.
He mentioned, oh yeah, I'm glad he hasn't played it yet because if otherwise we would have probably been he's like, man, this thing is buggy as
yeah.
But, he's been playing a lot of Frogger and Jimmy Neutron games. I'm like, bro, you played Hylix right when it came out, man. At least, come on.
We know we're not as good as Hylix, but come on.
And Manly Badass Hero hasn't. I don't think he's played it, right?
No, I don't think so. Which is kind of surprising as well.
Yeah, I mean,
he might just not be interested. Which if he's not, it's whatever. Obviously, we'd like him to because we want him to enjoy it into views. But
I mean, he played Kitsune Kitchen, so I'm still kind of.
That was the most surprise. Maybe after that, maybe we scared him off with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. No, he loved it though. He made multiple videos on it. So
I mean, multiple videos on a train wreck.
but yeah, this guy Niz, he was doing reviews like, oh yeah, and Jerome has a skill which has a 1% chance of actually winning the battle, and he caught it on on video, just getting that.
Wow.
And there's another thing too where it's we have the slot machines, and I think the best thing is getting 3 Jerome heads. Oh. And I asked Will to record for the trailer.
I walked into the slots, pulled it, got 3 Jerome heads on my first try, and just left.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing. It was just you just watched. I was watching the video. It was just kind of silent. It was just Will walks up, goes to the thing, pulls the slot, and goes 3 Jerome heads, and then immediately Tab exits out, and then he just fucking just leaves the building. And I was like, that's great. Too easy.
It's great.
And it was fucking. It was
first time ever using.
It's really great.
Yeah. So for the audio listeners that don't know, we're recording this live on Twitch. There's been some Twitch questions that we'll get through really quickly. I'll just say a few general comments. Guy Rocket Ram says, as someone who's currently making an RPG Maker game, I cannot overstate how big of an inspiration Suits was to me. What else is here? Isubot says the entire team did such an amazing job, stunning artwork and songs all tied together so well. What else? During the portion where we were talking about Suits spin-offs, Isubot said Suits Connect When. Guy Rocket Ram said Suits Kart Racing.
That one actually had a little bit of research put into it, but we're probably not going to make it.
Right.
But don't be surprised if we do make something.
We will sell out.
Yeah, Suits for Smash. No. Isubot says, it clearly was a challenge to code, but coming from Suits to absolute power and seeing the sprites move and generally how everything stretched the engine was so mind-blowing at the time. Guy Rocket Ram says, I really like Suits 1's OST, by the way. It's very dissonant, but it has a unique atmosphere. Jerry Cracker says, Castle Go-Go theme was a banger.
I mean, you got me there.
Yeah. Yiffy says, Mark Judy.
Yes, I agree, actually.
I agree as well. The Master of Eyes says, when trying to change engines, was Unity an option you considered? And if so, what made you side with Godot instead?
So I'm going to say Unity was kind of in the back of my head, for a bit, by a bit, I mean 2 seconds, because I personally am not a fan of Unity. I'm not going to diss it because of course I'm in the Unity engine right now. I'm a simulation right now being run in Unity. Yeah.
Right.
The real mode wasn't available, so.
But for example, I made this avatar in Unity, and I don't like the way tools work in Unity personally. It's just a me thing. I mean, it's a good engine. I'm not going to say it's not, but for me, it's not what I really want. Especially even for 2D. I know it can handle 2D definitely better than most 3D engines. But Godot is also just one of those things it's completely free. There's no there's no royalties, no hidden fees that you might encounter after you hit a certain sales mark or something.
Right.
It's open source. It's been out for a few years. And it's super duper impressive to me, in both terms of 3D and 2D. It's crazy. And also just working with Godot is super simple compared to Unity. The tools are there, and all I can think of is it's just going to get better.
Yeah.
I was an early adopter of Blender. I'm talking about when Blender looked like it was a spreadsheet simulator or something, some kind of scientific tool. Right. I was using Blender in middle school. It was really way beyond my league, but I still kept with it, and they just kept getting better and better. And I had my teacher, game design teacher, sophomore year. She's like, it's not an industry standard. It's not an industry standard. And I'm like, you're going to be wrong. And guess what she was?
Yeah.
Because now Unreal, everybody's just donating. Unity, Unreal, the big guys are all donating to Blender Foundation. And Blender's just getting better and better every time it gets.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, when you're talking about Godot, it's sort of, I feel it's at that new space where it just needs a little bit more time to solidify, because there's games being created in it at the moment. I think the main thing is that there's not enough games that have finished, that have completed, that have been created in Godot. But once they have been, which is probably going to happen really soon, within the next couple of years, we're going to see a massive spike.
Gamma 19 will be one of them.
Yeah, I think so. It could be very, likely that you're one of the first, examples of Godot really pushing through. But yeah, I'm really excited to see that.
I don't know if you've heard of a game called Cruelty Squad.
Yes.
Okay, so that was made in Godot. I kind of knew by just looking at it. I was like, that's made in Godot. And I looked it up, and it was made in Godot. I could just tell because of the reflection. Simply just because of its reflections. I know it's really weird, but
right.
I looked at it. It had the weird screen space reflections. That looks like Godot's reflection. And I looked it up. It was like, oh, it is Godot. So that's definitely a game that's the first game I saw on Steam that has gotten any attraction. That's made in Godot. And there is a list of games made in Godot published on Steam. It's not very big. And I think Godot, as it is right now, is capable of making a full-fledged game. And I know when 4.0 comes out, it's going to be crazier. And there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that they're introducing. And, it's free. It's free. There's no strings tied. You're not tied to any strings. Once you hit a certain... No, it's completely free. It's open source. There's a big community. There's growing community right now.
Yeah.
A lot of cool assets and code, and just that's the problem too, because it's so new. There's not really a lot of tutorials, or a lot of them are kind of getting out of date. So, but if you know how to read documentations, you'll be fine.
Right.
That's what I've been doing. It's really, their documentation is amazing. There's so many things that they have in that I just keep finding new stuff that help us do things. So yes, and Unity was in the back of my mind, and I was just like, whatever. No, I'm gonna go with Godot because I was messing around with it anyway.
Yeah,
and I just prefer it.
Nice. With that question out of the way, we'll go to Guy Rocket Ram's question. I am a huge Suits fan. It's been a big inspiration for my own game project. I'm just wondering, what did you use for the music in Suits 1? It sounds a lot like Jumbox, but I'm not sure.
For Suits 1, it's a digital audio workstation called Mixcraft.
Wow.
And you can look up Mixcraft. It's cheap as it's one of the cheaper ones.
Go Mixcraft. I love Mixcraft.
Mixcraft, yeah. Not using it anymore.
I was using Sony Acid Pro back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's great. Mixcraft, that rings a bell.
Yes, well, it's got a lot of brass options that are very synthetic and fake sounding, and they will, if you go and use them, you make your brand new own Suits track real easy in there. It'll sound exactly like Suits, and you'll become famous on the internet for making Suits cover music.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, Mixcraft, that's what Suits uses. Now I use Ableton, which is just, the big boy.
Yeah. Ableton Live 10?
Ableton Live.
Ableton's good. Ableton's just grown and grown. I use FL Studio personally, but I really need to learn how to use Ableton.
Of that too.
And Logic Pro as well. I've used a bit of that.
I do like them both.
Yeah.
I like Ableton and FL Studio.
Yeah,
but FL Studio feels more like, I don't know. I just like them both.
I think when I looked at people using Ableton, there's just a lot more flexibility when it comes to automation, I feel, as opposed to FL. It has quite a few limitations.
The interface is a little... It's not like FL Studio, which has a lot of external windows that are all popping up. It's not like that. It's kind of all there, and you can just cut and paste really fast in Ableton. I think that's kind of its major difference, because they're very similar.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
No pattern designer, though.
And with Logic Pro, I found it deals with vocals in particular very well. It has a lot of support for stuff like that. But anyway... I try to make music as well. Not as good, but
not that great either. But
you make do.
We'll get there. Push through.
Yeah. Thank you, Guy Rocket Ram. We have one from Jerry Cracker as well. Okay, I'll make this quick, but before I ask my question, thank you so very much for making Suits Absolute Power. It is genuinely my favorite game, and really hope you know how thankful I am for you making it. Okay, I'll cut the heartsy stuff. In Suits 2, Janitor is portrayed as a suit, no nose or ears, etc., but he's shown during Cycle 0 during Project Fogarty. I'm not sure if this is a spoiler, so spoilers alert for those who haven't played Absolute Power, but it's fine.
Project Fogarty.
Fogarty?
It's my last name.
Oh, right. So my question is, why did the Janitor change, but Thal didn't? And if I'm allowed to ask one more question... what was the signal that Thal beamed Tom J? Beamed to MJ? Ah, yeah.
The MJ.
Well, these are very big, questions that deal with incredibly sensitive subjects.
Yeah, this is.
But
really
I would say, yes, the Janitor is related to the Thal character in which you speak of.
None of these characters are actually important. I'm not saying this just to kind of dodge spoilers or anything.
I'm trying not to spoil much.
Yeah.
And answer the question. He is a suit. I would say he is a suit. Just because someone's a suit doesn't mean they were always a suit.
Yeah.
The first suit had to be designed somehow. But regardless, the signal to MJ, I think, is pretty simple. It was just, it was
just a signal at the beginning.
It was just a signal, like come, like a beacon, really, like come to me. Nothing complicated there.
Yeah. We can give like a spoiler warning if you do want to spoil, and then you can give some details.
We don't want to spoil anything for you.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. But
you experience our incredibly average story. Right?
That answers the question, even though it's probably not that satisfying. It's yeah. I think those are the answers to those questions.
The details usually fall out of my mind if I see, well, sometimes trailers visually, but I'll probably just forget everything by the time I come to play it.
Probably.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. But Jerry Cracker, man, we really appreciate you for really enjoying our game. I mean, like, that's all that matters to me in the end. I mean, like, look, money does help, and it's really good to have money and make money off of your games. And that's a very
yes.
Yeah.
The moral of the story in Suits is make money.
Yes, make money. It's the most
make money win.
If you haven't read the rules of acquisition, I don't know what you're doing, but you should probably read it.
Yeah. Actually, that is probably one of the most influential texts for the development of Suits.
That is true, yeah. The
Ferengi rules of acquisition.
Ferengi rules of acquisition. Go look them up.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like, my lobes tell me I love the money more, but like my heart tells me I love the fans, and I love it when people just anytime I see any fan art, even if it's not even the best fan art.
Thing.
It's like fun saying you love the money more when we barely make any money.
Yeah. So how many buildings have you constructed in your enterprise to hold all the hundreds of employees of Technomancy?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
If only they were not just, simulated buildings.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I have an empire with those buildings.
Yeah, I got a few VR chat mansions. I got commissioned, and like.
Look at the clean suit he's wearing. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
something had to pay for it.
I mean, that man has no wrinkles at all.
None.
That's
no creases.
Never need to iron this thing. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I really do appreciate the fans, and I love anything they do. Like, if they make any, we got a lot of fan art in our Discord. Zinzangun, she's made really tremendous fan art that honestly I was like, wow, like
we should get you to replace our current artist.
Yeah, why not? And then there's like Twitter too. Sometimes you'll just see something pop up on Twitter, and it's like there's like, oh, someone made us put suits there, and I was
someone
like,
randomly drew the guy. Or something.
It always makes me. What? It always makes me happy to see that. And like there was like something recently, someone just drew. I don't know who this person was, but they drew their characters as the CEO and the guy, and I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm gonna just retweet, and I always retweet it because I just want other people to see it. If they see it or not. I mean, I always put it on. It's on the timeline, so. But yeah, we really, really, really appreciate everybody who supports us and just loves playing our games, because that's in the end of the day, that's really what matters to me. Is as long as people enjoy it, even though I might not enjoy it,
even though we are incapable of enjoying our own work, at least somewhat does.
You three probably enjoy your game the least out of anyone, so there's that.
Very probably.
Yeah, we're the biggest haters.
I mean, when you gotta play it every day for 2 years.
Who knows how long?
Yeah. It's hard to
play. Any
game
doing that, like even Skyrim. I got thousands of hours in that thing. It's still like, well, I pushed the limit. But I do like looking at these mountains and trees.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do it again.
You read the negative reviews and you're like, yeah, I knew that before you did, It's like,
oh man, that happens so often. The amount of times that we saw someone just be like, the combat's weak, we were always like, yeah. We did our best, okay?
Yeah. I know. And also, thank you so much, Jerry, for that. And Burnout's user asks, I have one question. Have you guys seen the Nitro Red review?
That is actually, I think that was probably the first big suit. Actually, no, there was one other Suits video that I think we saw before the Nitro Red review from a guy who's not doing YouTube anymore. But that Nitro Red review, I think, was one of the first moments where we were like, oh, wait, people can play our game.
Yeah.
And
it was one of those. It was kind of surreal to see it because I'm subscribed to him and I always watch his stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoy his content. I think he's a great YouTuber. And I was just like, wow,
top-notch gamer.
Top-notch gamer. I don't remember that, but
maybe.
But I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like him and Manly playing it was like, I was like, oh my god. And then Will and I met Manly Badass.
Yeah, we met him. That was really weird.
At a flea market. Like we were I was wearing my shirt that said "Buy Suits" on Steam, and well, here's the thing. I never seen him, and I know. And actually, when after that meeting, I was like, let me see something. And I looked through his videos. I was like, oh, he has posted videos with his face in it. I've never seen him. But I was expecting well, let's just say Will and I are much taller than him, and but it was just funny to watch me just like I was kind of like a little fangirl. Like, I was like, oh my god, it's Manly. I can't believe
I
it's
played a
him.
game and got views.
Like I was like, but like I'm just like over this man. I was like, yo, oh my god, I'm freaking out. He's like, dude, it's really cool seeing you. And he gave me his business card, and I still have it somewhere, but he's like, just call me
Nice.
We
Charles.
enshrined it somewhere in his closet.
Yeah, I have like a little Manly shrine. I just worship it. Like, Manly, and I like an incense every day, and also next to the Nitrorad shrine to like to make sure they review our game. But
Yeah, exactly.
or play the game. But you know,
We haven't sacrificed enough, though.
yeah, I'm gonna have to
Clearly.
find
Say goodbye to those chickens, Mario.
Yeah,
Sacrifices must be made, and I'm sorry that it's you that has to make them.
It's the old ways. They have to be satisfied.
the way she goes.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Some chickens for some clout. It's not that bad of a trade.
Well, the answer is yes. We have seen it.
And we very much so enjoyed it.
Yeah. Intern with no pay says CEO VTuber. That's obviously referring to the Twitch streams for RPG Maker Collie episodes, which are streamed live mostly from now on. And yeah, I think that's all for the Twitch questions from what I can see. I've had a great time. Thank you for being on the podcast. I just was really excited when you said yes, and I think it's gone really well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you for inviting us. I mean,
we were honestly kind of surprised that you reached out to us all of a sudden.
We're surprised that anyone at all gave any amount of shits at all.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyone.
As depressing as the statement that is, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's sad because Suits 1 like got us a lot of attention, but we couldn't really grab all that attention for too long. Like, it kind of just faded away, and
it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, like if we had a Discord, and we can hold probably more people in, but right now we're still building this community, our wonderful little Discord community.
A little band of misfits.
Yeah.
I mean, I love everybody who says anything there. I know Guy Rocket Ram, he's in that Discord. I've seen the game. We know about S Windle. Yes, he's going to be somewhere. I'm going to say that. He's just going to be somewhere.
Yeah.
It was very amazing community project that we came together to create this character called S Windle. Started with Guy Rocket Ram, and everybody's just coming up with these ideas and naming him, and and we kind of came up with the lore, and everybody came up with the lore, and so now he's our property, and we'll sue you.
Exactly.
We will sue.
Yeah.
Do not use S Swindle in any of your games. We will file a complaint, and
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's too bad, Guy. He's ours now.
It's our game now.
Yeah.
You discussed it on our Discord, and it is our property.
All of your rights to who you are and everything you've done. You are owned by us now.
Well, I guess that's
you
for Guy
are
then.
Technomancy.
So when you do finish your game, we will give it a shout out because it is our game technically.
We'll find you.
And we will find you.
No, we won't.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you three, and if I know that Suits a Business RPG, and Suits Absolute Power are on Steam right now, so I encourage any listeners to go and buy those games, and also Wishlist Gamer 19 on Steam as well. I'm just looking forward to them, and if there's anywhere out, just give us how can we contact you and how can we support you? Twitter, Discord, whatever you have, I guess.
Yeah, the best way I think to get into contact with us is just through a Discord, because that's where I'm always on. I always have my Discord open. Like anybody messages me, I will most likely respond unless I'm really busy.
I'd say YouTube is a good platform to find the Discord and Twitter and all that stuff. In the description.
Twitter
got links to the Discord everywhere.
Twitter we're not too active on. I mean, I try to be active on there. It's hard to just manage your social media and work and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it's just more just to kind of just give quick little updates or whatever. But YouTube as well. We have a YouTube channel. There is a YouTube video coming out on Tuesday. A little update for Game 19. I made it today and uploading it Tuesday because
nice.
it's for the algorithm. I think I don't know. They like Tuesday for some reason.
We also have the Discord, the YouTube, We have a Tumblr where we upload occasionally, although it's on hiatus right now. There is a Suits comic that has a couple of chapters out right now. You can't read it till you beat Suits 2, but it is there. It will be coming back in the next month or so.
Nice.
And we do have an itch.io where you can download our demos.
Yes,
and
Gamma 19 demo and the old Gamma 19 demo, which is
soon the new Gamma 19.
And yes,
and, there will
demo.
soon be a new Gamma 19 demo. So we'll have 3 Gamma 19 demos.
3 Gamma 19 demos are available on itch.io.
All of various different two the same
Each one gets better than the last.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. So if you want to join that Discord, just Google Technomancy Studios Discord, and it should be the first result on there, I think.
Or our YouTube channel. You'll find it wherever, I'm sure.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, yeah, I just want to say thank you to the guests, and also thank you to our listeners for listening to this RPG Maker Cola episode, whether live on Twitch or on our podcast audio recording as audio listeners. The audio listeners can probably hear swelling music coming up as we're outroing this episode. You can find us on Twitter at RPG Maker Cola. We have a Discord as well that you can join game development, design streams. I stream RPG Maker games as well as other games. And thank you so much for being on the podcast, all of you 3. And thank you. It's been amazing.
Thank you again for inviting us.
It's great to be here.
Yeah,
it's really awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, and have a fantastic rest of the day, listeners. And I'll fare thee well. Goodbye. Cool, that's the end of the recording. Excellent.
Awesome.
Cool. I mean, wow, I just stop your Audacity recordings, and I save it somewhere, but you can just export it if you want.
Yeah.
Let me see.
This headset.
An MP3 or like an OGG?
Well, either one is fine. As long as it's an audio format, I can always just convert it to whatever I want. MP3 is absolutely fine.
I'll try the MP3 first, see how big it is.
Yeah,
I haven't recorded a full reel of like an hour of audio.
Yeah, they're not usually that big. The WAV files are usually the big ones. So, and then you just
Oddly enough, it's the reason Suits is so big, because all the music's in WAV files.
Oh right, right.
It's like a gigabyte, and it's like
Really?
I was like, man, we managed to make an RPG Maker game.
The best data clarity.
The game may be bad, but the audio files are crisp.
So
Crisp, raw audio. It's fantastic.
A horn in a cave, and I can hear every reverberation.
You need to hire out a cinema to experience the full clarity of the audio present in the game. So just send those to me. Host them on the Google Drive or anywhere that I can download them from. If I see, I think one of you might have logged onto the account to see DZPG host play Suits Business RPG and loved it. So I think if they end up playing the sequel, or if I end up playing any of the games, I'll just post it on this Discord here, and feel free to tune in if you want. But
please, because when you posted the other guy playing Suits, I sat there and watched the whole thing, and I was enjoying it. It's again, we love watching people. I know I do. I know Will says he does. I don't believe him. He's always lying. It's a backstabber.
I am always lying, but I don't lie about that.
I know that guy in particular is just really entertaining to watch, particularly when watching the comedic games like that. So I'll let you know if he does. But I think that's it for now. I've got all I've got recording on my side, and if it corrupts in any way, don't worry too much about it, because I can just get it from the VOD. Yeah. So
hopefully nothing goes wrong with this.
Nothing. Yeah, it shouldn't. It's on Twitter. It's on. Yeah, it's everywhere. So it's all good. Yeah. All right.
Megabytes. Not so bad.
Actually, earlier you mentioned that we somehow we landed somewhere in some top 100 or whatever RPG Maker games.
Oh yeah.
I think it was the first any of us heard about it.
Yeah. So it hasn't So I did a live Twitch whatever ceremony, but it hasn't. It's not it hasn't been. I was going to make it into a YouTube video as well, because I was just wondering how I was going to do that, because I got maybe about there's about 100 to 200 responses of votes for their top 10 RPG Maker games, and then I kind of aggregated that into a list from 1 to 100, and I think Suits ended up at 53. Yeah.
It's not too bad.
But it was pretty. But like, there's a lot of like very popular. Like you got the Amori off, Ebe, Lisa the Painful, Yume Nikki, One Shot.
Guys we're absolutely not beating.
Yeah, but like the fact that that's on there is saying something about how many people voted for and enjoyed your
game. The fact
game.
that's even like halfway, like as like, oh yeah, like
that's surprising. That's
pretty crazy.
Really. Yeah, it's good. So I'll try and get a video out of that as well, and I'm trying to do more video essays on games that are either RPG Maker based or around that area. And I think particularly this and probably the sequel. I don't think have you got any video essays about the sequel, Suits 2?
Yeah, just that one guy.
Right.
Yeah, the Niz review. Yeah, it was like an hour or something long. But let me tell you, when I went over to update the battle system, just to kind of make it like the skills a bit better, I just watched this video, wrote down like all the notes.
Yeah, and
then,
he had some really good criticisms.
Yeah, he's some really good criticism. I didn't implement like literally like everything, but like most of it was actually just changed from his criticism and just things that I guess other people were like hoping to see be changed, but like mostly his things just hit the nail on every problem. So like
nice.
Like one of the characters, she just had a really questionable skill set that in the end it was like it didn't really define the character well, and now it's definitely in a better spot.
Yeah. Excellent.
But other than an hour-long review, it's mostly just people doing playthroughs.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping to for Guy Rocket Ram, who's asked in the chat. I don't have anything valuable on my YouTube channel yet. I just got some meme mashups of RPG Maker instrumentals with rap acapellas, but I'm going to like actually make my legit video essays soon, which I think it's going to start with a game called Therapist Mind Manager, and then I'm going to move on from there. But yeah, that's in the pipeline. So I'll let you know if that happens. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for now. I think I'm going to. Thank you, Guy. I think we're going to move on. I'm probably going to raid somebody right now. If anyone's got any recommendations for who we should raid on Twitch.
I don't know.
Probably not. But anyway, I'll probably quit out of this call. But thank you for the interview, and it's been really cool. Hope I see more of you in the future.
Yeah, just if you ever want to interview us again for Game 19 when it comes out,
yes,
let us know.
I will actually.
Or when you finally beat Suits 2 and you want to complain.
Yeah.
Suits 2. I mean, we could do a Suits 2 follow-up too.
Yeah.
Little Suits 2 themed talk. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, nice.
Like, so what was wrong with you guys?
Or like
the heck
dev commentary with the Suits. Playing Suits 2 with and. We can just like talk about little things. I kind of wanted to do that. Like I was like, maybe I'll wait like a year before. And it's already been a year, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I still can't play.
What if I wait another year?
Yeah.
I'll wait another year.
Excellent.
To go through and play through that.
What if I just never play my own game?
Yeah, I mean, look. I'll be honest. I still haven't beaten Suits 2.
I don't think any of us have beaten Suits 2.
I did beat Suits 2.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why
need to develop a commentary on it, maybe.
Yeah. I could definitely do that, but like
Gabe is the only one of us that can actually talk about the game.
See, Intern with No Pay has beat Suits 2, so there's that.
That's true.
Yeah, well, he was probably the first. He was probably the first person to beat Suits 2.
He's also our fastest speedrunner.
Yeah.
He's current speedrun.
So here's the raid message, but for those who don't have my emote, you can like replace it with like, I don't know, that one there, like a laughing. Yeah, I'm just talking to chat as we raid the True Salt King, which is a good friend of ours. They play just like they're just really funny and they play great games. I think they're playing Kingdom Hearts right now. I think it's a great one to go into. Let's just spoil the nonsensical plot of Kingdom Hearts. No, anyway, thank you for tuning in, chat, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Here we go, and they're raiding now. Cool. All right, and I'll see you three later. I'll keep you in contact if anything happens. Just send me those audio files.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Yeah, legitimately pleased. Yeah.
It was really. I mean, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting this interview to go that smoothly.